Hi there guys, it's Chris here from Info Agent, and today we're going to be talking about one of the most important topics when it comes to selling your house. How much does it cost? Now, I know a lot of people might think they know the answer to this question, but trust me when I say there are a lot of hidden costs that come along with selling a house in New South Wales. And it's important to understand all these costs before you put your house on the market. I've also got a bonus tip for you at the end of this video for sticking around. So let's cover some of the most common expenses. First, let's talk about the most obvious cost, commission fees for real estate agents. In Australia, the average commission fee is anywhere between 2 to 2.5% of the sale price. But what percentage do real estate agents charge in New South Wales specifically? Well, it can vary. The state's overall average is around 2.1%, whereas Sydney holds an average commission of just over 1.8%. So it's important to note that different agents may charge different commission rates, so it's always good to ask, what do real estate agents charge? There are a few things that can affect an agent's commission, such as the type of property we're working with. It's understandable that some agents may charge slightly more for their time and efforts when selling an unusual property that may only appeal to a very small buyer pool. On the flip side, an agent may be willing to accept a lower cut for a very high value property, as the fee would still be a great day's work. To put this into perspective, Redfern in Sydney has an average agent commission of just over 1.9%, whereas the rural town of Broken Hill carries an average of just shy of 3.5%. One thing I will say though is to be wary of what are known as the 1%ers. I'm not talking about an area where 1% may legitimately be the average commission rate. This is a term used to describe the agent who is the clear undercutter in the area. And like everything, you usually get what you pay for, within reason. It's never a good idea to choose an agent entirely based on fee alone for this very reason. A good agent can often make up for their fee and then some. That's the entire point. But with a clear undercutter, you'd wonder if they have enough incentive given an agent's massive overheads, and if they're willing to compromise so heavily with you, let's just hope they're not doing the same thing with the value of your largest asset in front of your buyer. Next, we'll cover some of the legal costs, most notably your conveyancing fees. Out of all the costs, this is probably the one that surprises the most people, because I think most vendors imagine something exorbitant here. Conveyancing costs usually consist of the cost of creating the contract of sale and soliciting the sale if and when the successful sale occurs. Some conveyancers will even split these costs and only charge each one when appropriate. On average, this can be somewhere in the realm of $1,000 to $2,000 for Sydney conveyancing, but it's important to keep a budget for these expenses and to know that these costs may vary depending on the location and the type of property you're selling. My tip here is that you should keep in mind that this is a conveyancing job, meaning you'll often find a solicitor's fee may be higher than that of a conveyancer for the same work. There'll be more on the main differences between solicitors and conveyancers in another video. Next up, we've got the cost of home repairs and upgrades that you might need to make to improve the value of your home. This can include things like painting, flooring, or even major renovations such as kitchens and bathrooms. It's important to consider these costs and make sure you are not overspending on unnecessary upgrades. Many vendors fall into the trap of overcapitalizing on renovations while under the impression that they'll always get out more than what they put in. Let me tell you, it really depends on things like your chosen materials and how far deep you go with this in general. Now, my tip for this one is actually pretty simple. Make sure you speak with an expert before going down this road. I can't tell you how many times we've been invited to appraise a new client's property that they've just finished renovating for the purpose of selling, but they've spared no expense. And sadly, we then have to steer the conversation to explaining to the proud homeowner that they might have overdone it. But with that being said, it can and will make a property much more easy to sell because there will be far fewer objections. Next up, we have staging costs such as furniture rental and home cleaning. These are often necessary to make your home look at its best potential for buyers. Depending on the property, staging a home can make a huge difference in the final sales price, and it can be worth the investment. Why? Well, if your furniture isn't quite doing the property justice, or if you're selling a vacant property, it can be much more difficult for a purchaser to imagine the full potential of actually living in that house. High quality furniture can help highlight the layout and flow of a property, while a carefully selected color palette and era can amplify its overall feel and charm. Nobody loves your property like you do, so we do these things to help the purchasers eventually feel the same way about the property. As staging can cost well into the thousands depending on your chosen furniture type, stories, and amount of rooms, I have two cost-saving tips for this one. The first one is that you don't always need to stage every room of the house. You can usually get away with showcasing the main rooms like the main living, dining, and master bedroom. The second tip here is a great cost-effective alternative in the form of digital staging. This is where the photographer digitally imposes beautiful furniture on the actual photos themselves. This is usually only doable for rooms that are at least mostly empty, but this can be a good halfway point as the purchaser can better visualize the flow when they first see your property online. They'll always then have those photos later to refer to. The cost of digital staging on average is less than $100 per photo, so it can be far more cost effective, though the differences are pretty obvious. And finally, we come to the marketing costs. So this covers the cost of online portals like realestate.com.au and Domain, as well as professional photography, videography, drones, virtual tours, property brochures, just listed flyers, the for sale sign, etc. These are essential for getting your home in front of as many potential buyers as possible. With the advancement of technology and the internet, it is important to ensure your home is marketed well and reaches a wide audience. This is the number one thing that will impact the result of your sale the most. Why? Because the better a property is advertised, the more buyers are attracted to it. The more buyers, the more competition, the more competition, the more bids or offers. You get how that goes. To put its importance into perspective, there's actually no point doing anything else we've covered in this video if only a few people come to see the property. Mostly, the overall marketing cost is often less than the value of 1 or 2 bids or offers. It's such an easy cost to make up for, and you'll sleep well knowing you gave your property the absolute best chance of success. Now, having said that, obviously not every marketing item is going to be appropriate for every property type or price point. Usually, as agents, we have a selection of pre-built packages that are suited to different budgets. Ours are all bespoke, so you can actually chop and change items between the packages so you're never locked in and overcapitalizing or underspending on things you might need. But these are just some of the most common expenses. There are also lesser known expenses to consider, such as more situational legal fees, inspection fees, holding costs, moving costs, capital gains tax, and GST if you're a company. These costs can add up, and it's important to be aware of them when you're budgeting for the sale of your home. And that brings us to today's bonus tip, which is the emergence of the pay later option. Now, you may or may not be aware, but there are many companies popping up that can offer an option where you can defer any and all costs to settlement, meaning you don't have to pay any of these costs until the sale is fully completed for a very low fee. It's not uncommon for these companies to fund up to tens of thousands of dollars, and they can often approve it on the same day. It's not rigorous like a loan, as they know you're about to sell a large asset. We also partner with one of these companies, so for our clients, the great news is you don't have to go looking or applying for anything. We actually take care of it all with you on the day of signing. Over the next few years, I believe this will become the normal way of handling selling costs. You heard it here first. So there you have it, a comprehensive overview of the costs associated with selling a house in New South Wales. Remember, it is important to budget for these expenses and plan ahead to ensure a smooth and profitable sale. And if you're thinking about selling your own home, make sure you do your due diligence and do your own research. Don't be afraid to ask what the real estate agent charges and what the marketing costs will be and what you'll get out of it. This will help you to better understand the costs involved in the process. It's also important to note that in each state of Australia, there may be different laws and regulations when it comes to real estate, so it's always good to seek professional advice when it comes to selling your property. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if this video has been informative and helpful in giving you a better understanding of the true costs of selling a house in New South Wales. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.